would dream of a Philadelphia where we, across all youth-serving professionals, across all people in the Philadelphia area, understand what trauma does to people and are highly committed to not re-traumatize people. I dream of a city where we would be a model for the nation to break the school-to-prison pipeline, that we would look at behaviors that we so often call bad or disruptive and understand that it's people trying to cope, where we would see people and instead of getting angry at them, we would understand that something happened to them and that rather than needing a punitive response, that what they need is a higher level of support. That's what I would dream of. Because when we look at the young person who's sleeping in class, and rather than looking at that person and thinking, oh, this person doesn't care about school, maybe begin to understand that it's the first place that that young person can feel safe and where adrenaline is surging through their body, and that the biggest compliment in the world to the teacher perhaps is that they feel safe enough to sleep. I dream of a world where we look at all children as sacred beings, where we notice that those children who aren't able to reach out to us, that those children who don't know to wipe their own noses, that those kids who can't engage us, that those kids who are angry at us are the kids who need us the most. I dream of a world in which a young black man walks towards someone who looks like me, and it's dark, and he's wearing a hoodie, and it's 45 degrees out, and he's coming closer, and the first thing that I think to do is to say good evening. That's when the world changes. The world changes when people who look like me don't hold people to low expectations. It is toxic. It is poison to healthy development when we expect the worst of other people. And I want people to know our kids. I want people to see who they really are, to see how much they bring to the world, and to be receptive to their gift, because when we see kids in that way, that's when they rise. And that's the Philadelphia I want to see.
I and every other woman in Philadelphia, we are all able to walk the streets of Philadelphia and be safe, not worry about physical or sexual violence, and that we have a more compassionate attitude towards each other, while at the same time expecting better behavior. Our social norms have changed so that it is no longer acceptable for people to bully each other. It's no longer acceptable to enjoy violence, which is currently what happens. It is no longer acceptable to hurt children. We've just changed as a culture. Nobody made us do it. We just have learned that it is not in our best interest for human survival for us to go on hurting children in any way. And in order to have children be safe, we have to have families be safe. And in order for families to be safe, then we have to change our economics. We can't have people living in poverty. Poverty in and of itself is not traumatic, but it creates circumstances within which trauma is more likely to occur, and it is constantly stressful.
I see a city that's a lot kinder. It's still got its rough edges and it's still got its grittiness, but it's a lot kinder. And I see a city once again where we don't talk about physical health and we don't talk about mental health. We talk about health because we understand that it all falls under one category. So I see lots of integrated care models. I see lots of people going to one facility and getting mental and physical and social behavioral health, everything that they need in one place where everybody works together to make sure that that patient gets the best care possible.
I think what we really need to do in order to have a trauma-informed city is to acknowledge the fact that we've been traumatized. And I don't think that happens enough. I don't think it happens enough with our politicians. I don't think it happens enough with our healthcare providers, that something really bad happened in Philadelphia about 20 years ago, 25 years ago, and we don't talk about it. And it was a drug epidemic that swept through our city, and it decimated our families. It destroyed our systems, meaning our school systems, the infrastructure of our community was just ravaged by this. And it's almost like putting a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound. If you don't acknowledge that this trauma happened, we're never going to heal. And so acknowledging that the trauma happened, acknowledging that the epidemic came through, once we do that and then start apologizing to folks, you know, for the mass incarceration, the breakdown in the school system, once we start saying, you know, we have to take responsibility for this. This is all of our faults. You know, once we do that, then we can start introducing the language of trauma, right? So first acknowledging that something bad happened here, and then saying, this was traumatic, and this is the theory. It's not what's wrong, it's what happened.
I may be pie in the sky and thinking what a trauma-informed city in Philadelphia would look like, but I think we would value more people. People wouldn't feel invisible anymore, both for their everyday lives and for the things that have happened to them. I think people would be open about their experiences. We would have less community violence. We would have everyone on board, and the sectors would be more collaborative, and there would be a better flow of information between health centers, schools, police, juvenile justice, housing, and people would not be blamed for things, and I think they would be better understood and valued more.
I'd hope to hear fewer, or if I really went for the gusto, no gunshots. I'd hope to see and hear a city that was filled with a lot more joyful noise, and I'd really like to see a city that was filled with more, you know, really like beauty, like aesthetically pleasing things that would signify that people had joined together and, you know, created community in lots of ways, including the physical space. Dreaming big, I'd like there to be fewer divisions. I'd like there to be a way that the city could use this information about trauma to increase their regard and respect for difference and maintain differences, because I would hate to see, you know, the ethnic, racial elements get too homogenized. I'd like to see them you know, remain distinct and celebrate culture, but be able to not do it at odds with each other.